This videotape is an urgent call for help. Terminators from the future may be in the process of stopping its distribution in order to destroy the philosophy it reveals. This philosophy, Informationism, is one that's well known in their world, our planet Earth, years into the future. If you message and do not help copy and distribute this tape, the world could be irreparably damaged. This tape may be of very quality. This is because it's been duplicated many times over by people of a movement known as the Eternal Survivors. The East is our symbol and is displayed by members and you if you choose to join us, or it wherever you go. It symbolizes hope for the future of our planet. Wear it always and display it where the most can see it. This tape is not a hoax. The astonishing information you're about to hear is not fiction. This tape is about a revolutionary new philosophy that will affect the course of human history. This philosophy will be the core of human growth in the future. We know this to be true because we have been contacted by travelers from the future. It is of absolute importance that the information contained in this tape be disseminated throughout the world, and done so immediately. It is possible that enemies of this philosophy will attempt to stop its distribution. Terminators in our midst at this very time. You can help the Eternal Survivors spread this brave new creed across the planet. You will learn how later in this presentation. This video consists of three important parts. The first, description of the philosophy of Informationism, a belief system that defies all other creeds. The second part is a description of how you can, as the cause of Informationism, be part of the Eternal Survivors, a group whose goal is to retrieve and into the future through time travel. The third part of the tape is a message directed to scientists of the 21st century. It is our hope that this tape will survive the decades and reach these scientists who are members of an informationist world, so that they will use future time travel technology to come back and retrieve us. That is to say, bring us into the 21st century where unlimited lifespans is the norm. I will now present to you part one of this videotape, the actual philosophy called Informationism. It is fairly short and simple, however, it has the ability to change the course of history. Here is the introduction to part one. Human beings of all cultures and nations live according to various philosophies, either philosophy because it meets their needs, or they're forced to accept that philosophy by those who hold them. An example of choosing a philosophy might be voluntary weekly attendance at church. An example of submitting to a philosophy would be forced participation in the activities of egalitarian government. The best philosophies provide the individual with a notion of the origins of the universe, a reason for existing, a moral code by which to operate, thus filling the void in the mind of the believer that is created by ignorance of the purpose and nature of life. There are three factors creating nearly all the problems that are faced by humans and societies. The first, humankind's predisposition for greed and violence. The second is the scarcity of survival resources such as food. The third is the proliferation of illogical philosophies. This video deals with the solution to these problems. The philosophy of Informationism. Informationism is a system that addresses the nature and purpose of existence from a purely scientific, logical point of view. It requires only thought and observation. People who adhere to the Informationism are called informationists. Informationism can replace all other global philosophies, but consists of only observable truth. Any other philosophy that consists of truth also survive, and those that are constructed around falsehoods will fall on weight. Part 1 of this video now continues. You'll be presented with the 2 sections of informationist knowledge. The first section will contain observations on the nature of the universe, especially life forms and human beings. The second section will deal with the goals of humankind. Section 1. Observations on the nature of the universe. Observation 1. The universe is in the process of self-discovery. It does this by growing eyes with which to observe itself and nervous systems with which it can evaluate its observations. Picture, if you will, planet Earth as a huge head and all the eyes of all the creatures on its surface as the eyes of the Earth. Imagine the Earth looking out across space in wonder. Can you picture the Earth growing smarter as its brain, all of the brains of all of the creatures on its surface, becoming larger and more full of more knowledge every day? The image of the Earth, this image of the Earth, although simplistic, is a true image of a planet. Life forms spring forth from Mother Earth like water gushing from a fire hose. These life forms contain sensory organs with which to perceive the universe and nervous systems with which to store these observations and evaluate them. In a very real sense, our oneness with the universe and each other is reality. Our thoughts of individuality and isolation are simply an illusion. Observation 2. Individual species are different theories as to the natures, and the correct theories survive through the process of evolution. A cockroach is a theory as to the nature of the universe. Among the facts in the cockroach theory is that the Earth has gravity, water, predators that scatter in the light, and so forth. The cockroach theory is good and has survived for millions of years. We can witness the theory change when we use a single insecticide in our home over a long period of time. Most cockroaches die, but those whose theory includes the existence of that particular insecticide survive. In essence, what has happened is that evolution is the survival and expansion of those theories that contain true information. This information exists on several different levels. It is genetically in the form of instinctive behavior. These are behaviors that are not but rather inbred. Babies suck and dogs swim automatically because this information is already wired into their brains when they're born. Information is also learned. The words and mathematical formulas we use are examples of this type of information. It's called extra-genetic information. Information can also be extra-organismic, namely knowledge stored in books and computers. Every organism that exists possesses information in its field. The human body is information. It is a physical representation of the universe. Hands exist to grasp fruit and teeth to crush the fruit, etc. Is information. Option number 3. Life is valuable because it is information. Life, especially higher life forms, are inherently valuable because they are information. The work of millions of years, billions of years of terrestrial evolution. The destruction of life is the negation of the obvious purpose of the universe and the obstruction of the cause of the universe. Destruction of life is also a form of suicide because we are in fact all of one universal singularity. This is why all religions have the golden rule at their core: do unto others and have them do unto you. Observation number 4. The correct answer to the question, what shall we do, is that we shall use our eyes and brains for the purpose for which they are evolved. Of all possible activities available to humankind, only one is logical, working in harmony with nature's obvious efforts: accumulation of information. The accumulation of information is logical for several reasons. Firstly, because in harmony with the mission of all creation, the evolution of information. Secondly, because it helps humankind overcome disease and other forms of suffering by perfecting the universe. It follows that good and evil may be defined by their effect on the accumulation of information, that which hinders the universe either by injuring information, organisms or humans, or impeding its growth is evil. Evil always arises out of ignorance. A murder and a tooth are both evil, both arising out of ignorance. The former due to the body's lack of knowledge in preventing tooth decay, and the latter due to one person's ignorance of the value of life. When someone asks the question, why does God permit terms to happen such as disease and ends, you tell them that these evil things exist because we do not yet have enough knowledge to avoid. Clearly it is the universe that there will be a day when no problem will be left unconquered. Section 2 of Part Goals of Humankind, the 3 irreversible goals of the informationist movement. Goal number 1. Humankind's goal is to accumulate information as quickly and efficiently, and to do so until omniscience is achieved. No substitute activity for the accumulation of information. When placed in their proper perspective, all worldly activities, conscious and unconscious, are merely behaviors selected through millions of years of evolution, the purpose of survival of knowledge. Sexual activity, with all their social, personal, and moral ramifications, are merely an effect of moving information forward in time. Information stored as the body, including all of the instinctive material within the brain, is moved forward in fresh nucleus to replace the old diamonds. Many of the activities of humans, hostile and antisocial, are products of survival behaviors now outdated. Mentality and territoriality, once effective in preserving hunter-gatherer tribes, are no longer valid. Be used in preparing for conflicts arising out of 8 instincts must be and directed into 2 areas. The first is pure scientific research in all areas including biological, medical, physics, space, etc. When people are able to see that all the feelings they have experienced, sex, love, hate, are indirect or direct manifestations of behaviors selected for survival and of knowledge, then societal support for science's sake, can be realized. The second area in which human energy should be directed is the subject of the next goal. Number 2. Humankind's second goal is to protect information from harm. Information exists in form. Life forms are information. When you eat a fish, you're chewing up information. Information is gathered from the environment using sensory organs and stored within life forms as messages. Information passed between life forms in many ways, including like those in this video, and finally, information is stored in forms including. We instinctively value information. There are 2 fun examples that may be illustrated. The first is the love between friends and family. The reason we feel the deepest love for those we spend the most time with, best friends, etc., is because we have information in common with these people, as opposed to strangers. We literally love the total package of information that we refer to by the symbol friend. The second example concerns romantic love. The goals of romantic love are vital to the level of information. Sexual union is necessary for the reproduction of knowledge. An exclusive commitment is a must for the survival of family, and thus all for the survival of knowledge. By the above example, you can see that our most powerful drives are those most directly involving information and its survival. The second goal of this video stresses the need for a global recognition of the value of human life, reflected in the presence of food and the essence of war and economic exploitation. Goal number 3. Humankind's third goal is to eliminate all philosophies and their attendant forces which in the achievement of goal 1 and 2. This completes Part 1, our description of informationism. Part 1 is the precious cargo that this video transports into the future. Review Part 1. I will now begin the second part, the part that deals with how you can become a member of the Eternal Survivors. This video is the sole method of disseminating the informationist philosophy. When people view this tape, they are an understanding of the nature of the universe that forever changes. This affects the way they perceive themselves, their goals, the goals of their family, and their society. Your job is to duplicate them and distribute as many copies as you possibly can. If you distribute 100 copies of this tape and furnish some sort of proof that you have, for instance, blank tape receipts, then you will become part of an order of followers called the Eternal Survivors. Becoming a member of the S will entitle you to have your name in a book called the Book of Retrieval. This is a book containing the names of those who will be retrieved by informationists' future when time travel has mastered. Our intention is for you to be brought forward to the future indefinitely. I'll now summarize the method for detail. First, duplicate 100 copies of this tape and distribute to friends, students, or even anonymously. We would hope that if you truly believe in informationism, you will ultimately distribute thousands. However, the minimum is 100. Save proof of your effort, receipt for blank tapes. Send a picture of yourself, your name, and the time and place you would like to be retrieved. P.O. Box 290-818, Port Orange, Florida 32129. Being retrieved means that when time travel has been mastered in the year 21, then scientists of an informationist society will go back in time to save or bring forward the facts of the informationist movement. You will be one of them. Your book, produced through the ages for this purpose. It is important for us to know what you look like and where you will be at a given time so that you can be found and retrieved. If your copy of the tape is too poor to date, due to have been copied too many times, you can send for a clear copy of this tape from which you can make your duplications. If this is the case, send $20 to the Informationists, P.O. Box 290-818, Port Orange, Florida 22129. For every year beyond 1994, please add $1. Please remember that we want you to use the tape that you already have in order to make your duplications. We are not trying to sell videotapes. We're providing this service only to those who feel that their copy of the tape is too poor or been copied too many times to make additional copies. We're charging $20 for expenses such as quality blank tapes, duplicating equipment, postal expenses, and labor. If you have a poor quality tape which cannot be copied and not order a tape because you cannot contact us, then you may produce your own tape, narrating it yourself. No one will ever be held responsible for copyright violations who has either duplicated and distributed the original tape or, out of necessity, produced their own copy tape without omission or addition of the regular text, the original text. It is also important to note that if the above address no longer exists and you cannot send us your retrieval information, there is an contingency plan. Should these conditions exist, you're to place an ad in the personals of any of the 10 large newspapers in the U.S. on May 22nd of any year, stating the time and place of your retrieval, followed by the code letters ES, which stand for Eternal Survivors. These publications can easily be accessed for purposes. Also important to understand that we, the founders of the informationist movement, are not guaranteeing anyone retrieval. This is not currently possible to provide. We can guarantee to cause and to tell you, believe that we have been contacted by future rulers, but the final decision to participate in this cause rests with you, based upon your belief in the philosophy of informationism and your faith in mankind's ultimate quest of time barrier. Now we will move to the third video, in which we, the founders of information, give instructions to scientists of the future, those who will come to retrieve us. Scientists of the future, we are the founders of the informationist movement. We know the location of the retrievals, which we and our successors have perpetually protected. It is necessary for you to retrieve us first in order for the process to be successful. You may retrieve us at the Sugar Mill Garden, 950 Old Sugar Mill Road, Port Orange, Florida, USA, according to the following schedule. Make your first attempt on May 22nd, 2001 at 7:30 p.m. And if we are not there, then attempt the retrieval each previous year at the same time and date and place until you reach the year 1994. Beware of imposters. We will carry various forms of ID, among which will be the copyright of this text. Also, we will know the location of the book of retrievals. Finally, we will have the book that appeared in the beginning of this video in our possession. This is the only true version of the informationist videotape, and you can verify this to be a fact when you meet us face to face. All other versions which may exist in your possession are fraudulent, and all producers of such tapes are enemies of the informationist movement and are not to be retrieved. We will fight against all ends of informationism. We will never surrender. Do not let us down. We await you.